Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest TV Translator Association.
If you have a news topic or event you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs Tuesday at noon, 3 and 6 p.m. and again is re-aired later throughout the weekend with the other weekday broadcast replays. Today is June 26, 2018. And now the news at noon.
According to the Cortez Journal, a 19-year-old man from Fruita died in a motorcycle crash Saturday on U.S. Highway 160 west of Durango, according to the Colorado State Patrol. The crash occurred about 7 p.m. near Durango West 2 subdivision, said Captain Adrian Driscoll with the Colorado State Patrol in Durango. Eli Reed was driving a Honda CBR 600 westbound on Highway 160 when, for unknown reasons, he laid the motorcycle down on its side and struck a guardrail on the eastbound lane of travel. The exact cause of the crash remained under investigation Monday. No other vehicles were involved. Excessive speed was a possible factor, Driscoll said. No drugs or alcohol are suspected. Reed, who was wearing a helmet, was pronounced dead at the scene.
From the Journal, photo credit AP file. A voter-passed initiative that coincided with disenchantment with the polarization of the 2016 election will allow Colorado's 1.2 million active independent voters to cast ballots in either the Democratic or Republican Party primaries by today, Tuesday, June 26. The initiative passed in a year that saw presidential candidate Bernie Sanders defeat Hillary Clinton in Colorado caucuses and yet a strong vote for Donald Trump in the general election, though he lost the state. Early mail and drop-off ballot returns suggest that more independents are voting Democratic in a tight gubernatorial primary to succeed term-limited Democratic Governor John Hickenlooper. It's too early to predict independents' turnout or impact on the campaigns, advocates said. But there's little sign that the major party gubernatorial candidates are reaching out in this swing state where Democrats and Republicans each have about 1 million registered voters. Presumed Democratic frontrunners U.S. Representative Jared Polis and former state treasurer Kerry Kennedy espouse universal health care, their public schools credentials, protecting public lands and promoting renewable energy. Republicans, including Treasurer Walker Stapleton, a cousin of President George W. Bush, generally embraced President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown and income tax cuts and promote Colorado's oil and gas industry. It's that polar opposite, take it or leave it campaign buffet that prompted Alex Leith, a Denver civil engineer, to abandon the Democratic Party and become an unaffiliated voter 2 years ago. The 27-year-old cast his gubernatorial primary ballot this year for Republican businessman and former state representative Victor Mitchell. He's willing to not totally align himself with Republican dogma, Leith said. Supporters of the semi-open primary argue that independent voters like Leith pay for the party primaries and should have a say in them. Whether that generates higher turnout or moderate candidate positions could take several election cycles to determine. Arizona, Kansas, Maine, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and West Virginia also allow independents to vote in primaries. As of early Friday, more than 598,000 Coloradans had voted, including nearly 139,000 independents. Democrats had returned more than 231,000 ballots, and Republicans had returned more than 228,000. In 2016, 21% of active voters participated in the primary. Our data and our experience points on how philosophically diverse Colorado is. There's no such thing as a generic independent, said Kent Thiry, the CEO of Denver-based dialysis firm DaVita Inc., who spearheaded the 2016 initiative. I've been an independent most of my adult life, Thiry said. To not have a voice until the final election in a country where the primary has become the final election, that's very frustrating to me. Also running to succeed Hickenlooper are former Democratic State Senator Mike Johnson and Democratic Lieutenant Governor Donna Lynn, Republican businessman Greg Lopez, and investment banker Doug Robinson, a nephew of the Utah Senate candidate Mitt Romney, want their party's nomination. Colorado hasn't elected a Republican governor since 1998 when Bill Owens was elected. He was reelected in 2002. We're all anxious to find out the results of the local primary in Dolores County, as there are several races on the ballot. We'll bring you those results on Wednesday or earlier on the DCTV News at Noon Facebook page.
Reported by the Cortez Journal with a photo by Jim Mimiaga with the Journal. No one was injured in a collision about 5:50 p.m. Monday after a car apparently pulled out of West Empire Street into the path of a northbound pickup truck on North Broadway Avenue, according to the Cortez Police Department. The driver of the northbound truck apparently veered to try to avoid the car and rolled to a stop in a southbound lane after the nearly head-on collision, according to Sergeant Glenn Edwards. The driver of the car, which carried a passenger, was cited for failing to yield the right-of-way, Edwards said. It looked worse than it was, he said. He added that the car's airbags deployed. The names of the people involved in the crash were not released. All 3 people involved in the crash declined emergency care, and none were transported to the hospital, said Sean Biddle, Assistant Chief of the Cortez Fire Protection District. A Southwest Health System ambulance also responded to the scene.
From the Journal, photo credit Stephanie Alderton. On Wednesday, a pair of consultants gave the Mancos Planning and Zoning Commission their first glimpse of an updated land use code. The town has hired planning firm Safe Built Studio to give its land use code the first makeover it's had in about 20 years. The firm has spent about 2 months gathering feedback on the code from Mancos residents through public meetings and weekly polls on its website. On Wednesday, 2 of its planners, Erica Heller and Elizabeth Garvin, presented an assessment of the existing code and a preliminary outline for the update, which included notes on which sections should be removed, expanded, or left alone. Heller and Garvin's assessment identified 6 goals for the new code, starting with simplifying the document, which commissioners said is difficult for many people to understand and sometimes contradicts itself. Other goals in the outline included consolidating use regulations into a single article, and removing redundant language from the rest of the code, streamlining review procedures, encouraging more affordable housing options, establishing a more consistent approach to non-conforming uses, and adding more aesthetic requirements for new developments. Many of the changes suggested in the outline came down to cleaning up the code's language and removing redundancies. Heller said many of the changes in regulations, such as increase in affordable housing, were specifically requested by Mancos residents. Garvin said the update will also include a use interpretation section to help commissioners decide how to apply the code to unforeseen land use proposals. The planners gave their presentation via conference call in the second half of a lengthy planning and zoning meeting. The commissioners voiced enthusiastic approval for several of their suggestions and asked questions about how the update would solve certain ambiguities in the current code. Heller said the firm will bring the town a reformatted version of the code update in late July for further discussion. The new land use code is scheduled to be finished and approved in early 2019.
Reported by the Durango Herald with a photo courtesy of Janelle F. Miller. Inflow into McPhee Reservoir from the Dolores River has dropped to a historic low, falling below the 2002 levels that were the previous driest year since the reservoir was built. As a result, supply in the reservoir has also dropped slightly to 16.7 inches per acre, down from earlier estimates of 17 inches per acre for full-service irrigators. During full supply, the rate is 22 inches per acre. The Water District has tightened water allocations and more conservatively estimated inflows, evaporation, and conveyance losses, he said. Since April 1st, estimates by the Colorado Basin River Forecast Center for Dolores River inflow into McPhee dropped by nearly half, from 89,000 acre-feet to 46,000 acre-feet. It is now almost certain that McPhee will go into the 2019 water year with effectively no carryover storage, Curtis said. The only foreseeable change possible is strong monsoon rains, never certain until they arrive. McPhee Reservoir municipal supplies for Cortez, Toyac, and Dove Creek are not subject to shortages. Because of an extremely low snowpack this winter and a hot, dry summer, the runoff forecast is at 15% of the 30-year average of 295,000 acre-feet for April through July. Precipitation for the 2018 water year at McPhee is measured at the Great Cut Dike, is the lowest recorded in the last 35 years. And now let's take a look at the weather.
Looking at the overall national weather map from NOAA, once again the western U.S. remains hot and dry with above normal temperatures expected midweek. Heavy precipitation is expected for the next 2 days in parts of the Midwest and the Carolinas, with rain and severe thunderstorms and possible flooding over the Central Plains and into the Kentucky-Tennessee region. The regional weather update: the region has a hazardous weather outlook for eastern Utah and western Colorado. Breezy winds, high temperatures, and dry vegetation are expected to yield critical fire weather conditions for a portion of northwest Colorado this afternoon through this evening. Dry and hot conditions are expected Wednesday, with temperatures rising to well above normal levels. Critical fire weather conditions become possible once again Thursday through Saturday. In more detail, skies were clear early this morning. More breezy conditions will affect portions of northeast Utah and northwest Colorado, but no chance for precipitation there. Meanwhile, afternoon highs are expected to peak well above normal and clouds remain sparse. Triple digits are likely across lower elevations of southeast Utah and possibly in portions of the Grand Valley. Clouds remain limited overnight tonight, allowing for some good surface cooling, though lows will still be above normal. Into Wednesday, clouds will continue to be scarce, which will help drive afternoon highs to around 10 degrees above normal, with more triple-digit values likely. Longer term, on Thursday, the ridge of high pressure will begin to shift eastward and will begin to fall over the Four Corners region. As upper-level flows turn southwesterly, expect a bit of mid and high-level cloud cover to work in from the southwest. This, combined with the slight drop in temperatures, will result in slightly lower afternoon highs on Thursday. This trend will continue into Friday as a trough approaches from the west. While a slight feed of moisture will exist from the southwest, it's unlikely that any cloud cover that forms will produce rain showers at the surface. What this trough will bring is an increase in wind speeds, and surface gusts will allow fire weather conditions to approach critical levels on both Thursday and Friday afternoon, especially over northern Colorado. Looking ahead for those monsoons, nothing is being predicted just yet. There are some hints that a bit of subtropical moisture could sneak northward into the Four Corners by midweek next week. What would a pick and hoe be without the threat of a thunderstorm at some point? And the local DCTV 5-day outlook shows today Sunday with a high near 91, south winds 5 to 10 miles an hour, and tonight clear with a low around 57. West-southwest winds 5 to 10, becoming east after midnight. Wednesday, sunny with a high near 92, south-southeast winds 5 to 10 miles an hour, becoming southwest 10 to 15 miles an hour in the afternoon. Winds could gust as high as 25 miles an hour. Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low around 58, southwest winds 5 to 15 miles an hour, becoming southeast after midnight. Thursday, sunny with a high near 89, breezy with a south-southwest wind 10 to 15 miles an hour, increasing to 15 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon. Winds could gust as high as 30 miles an hour. Thursday night, partly cloudy with a low around 57 and still breezy. Friday, sunny with a high near 85 and again breezy. Friday night, mostly clear with a low around 54. Saturday, sunny with a high near 84. Saturday night, mostly clear with a low around 53. And sunny Sunday with a high near 83. Sunday night clear with a low around 55. And now back to the news.
According to the Durango Herald with an AP file photo, U.S. health regulators on Monday approved the first prescription drug made from marijuana, a milestone that could spur more research into a drug that remains illegal under federal law despite growing legalization for recreational and medical use. The Food and Drug Administration approved the medication called Epidiolex, to treat two rare forms of epilepsy that begin in childhood, but it's not quite medical marijuana. The strawberry-flavored syrup is a purified form of a chemical ingredient found in the cannabis plant, but not the one that gets users high. It's not yet clear why the ingredient, called cannabidiol, or CBD, reduces seizures in some people with epilepsy. British drug maker GW Pharmaceuticals studied the drug in more than 500 children and adults with hard-to-treat seizures, overcoming numerous legal hurdles that have long stymied research into cannabis. FDA officials said the drug reduced seizures when combined with older epilepsy drugs. The FDA has previously approved synthetic versions of another cannabis ingredient for medical use, including severe weight loss in patients with HIV. Epidiolex is essentially a pharmaceutical-grade version CBD oil, which some parents already use to treat children with epilepsy. CBD is one of more than 100 chemicals found in marijuana, but it doesn't contain THC, the ingredient that gives marijuana its mind-altering effect. Physicians say it's important to have a consistent government-regulated version.
From the Durango Herald, photo credit Jerry McBride. Few, if any, retail businesses in Durango managed to escape the absence of tourists stemming from the 416 fire and the cancellation of train runs to Silverton. It is definitely affecting us, said Tori Asola, Rooms Division Manager at the Strader Hotel. We are a historic property, and many people package a ride on the train with a stay at the Strader. When people saw the trains weren't going to be running, that changed their plans. Asola estimated this June's sales are close to 40% down from June of 2017, and room rates were reduced. In addition, last week, when the smoke from the fire was particularly bad, Asola said that they received a few cancellations from people with respiratory problems, and even a few people who live at low altitudes were expressing concerns about air quality. On the positive side, she said employees of the hotel opened up their homes to other employees who had been evacuated. July bookings are returning to a more seasonal rate, she added. Gary Cook, an entertainer and co-owner of the Bar D Chuck Wagon, said he estimates sales at the supper and entertainment venue are down 25% compared with June 2017. We didn't have to close down this time, but we've had some small crowds crowds, he said, noting that the 2002 Missionary Ridge fire burned all around the Bardee Chuckwagon, and he and another Bardee Chuckwagon owner lost their houses to that blaze. The Bardee Chuckwagon is celebrating its 50th anniversary and has several special guests visiting to celebrate, including Charlie Daniels, who performed Monday, and he said the show was sold out. Roger Zalneraitis, executive director of the La Plata Economic Development Alliance, said after talking with businesses, he's confident the economic loss from the 416 fire is in excess of $1 million, and he said it was probably $2 million or more when factoring in La Plata County and San Juan County. A better idea of the economic harm will emerge, he said, when sales tax, lodgers tax, and real estate sales numbers for June and July are available when unemployment numbers come out from the state of Colorado.
According to the Cortez Journal with a file photo, the Colorado State Forest Service encourages homeowners to consider supplemental watering to keep their trees healthy during persistent drought conditions. In southwest Colorado, drought has parched the soil and stressed irrigated lawns and larger landscape trees. The region is in an exceptional drought, the worst category of drought according to the U.S. Drought Monitor. Adequately watering your trees is the best way to ensure optimum growth and vigor during the summer months, said Donna Davis, Colorado State Forest Service Community Forestry Program Specialist, in a news release. Dry trees become susceptible to root and branch dieback and subsequent insect and disease problems. The Forest Service offers these tips to help residents keep their trees healthy during this summer's drought. Use mulch. Mulch is an inexpensive solution to retain soil moisture and save water. Apply 4 inches of organic mulch to bare soil around trees. 2 to 3 feet from the base of the tree trunk, remove grass from the area around the tree's base before doing so, if necessary, and make sure mulch is far enough away from the trunk. Water a wide area. Root systems of trees grow outward rather than downward underneath the ground and spread 2 to 3 times wider than the tree's height, with most absorbing roots within a foot from the top of the soil. With this in mind, apply enough water to soak the entire area of soil underneath the span of the tree's branches. Water slowly. Use an 8-inch deep water fork to perforate the soil before watering the base of the tree, and water soil on a low setting, or use a soft spray wand to apply water gradually to the area. Keep yards green. Trees planted in irrigated lawns generally do not require additional water if areas around trees receive adequate moisture. A dry yellow yard means roots of trees are also dry. Focus on smaller and non-irrigated trees. Trees that do not receive water from sprinkler systems or irrigation require additional water. Every week, apply 10 gallons of water for each inch of each tree trunk's diameter. Water small and newly planted trees more frequently because they have less extensive root systems.
From Bloomberg News, Coors Courtesy Photo. Another major beer maker is looking at ways to enter the marijuana business. Denver-based Molson Coors Brewing Company is weighing whether to expand into the sector, with Canada poised to legalize the drug for recreational use this October. The brewer is said to have held talks with several Canadian-based marijuana companies to invest and collaborate in cannabis-infused beverages in an attempt to halt declining beer sales, according to a Friday report from BNN Bloomberg, citing several unidentified people familiar with the matter. The company has spent the past 6 months engaged with as many as 4 cannabis companies, including Aphria Inc. and Aurora Cannabis Inc., discussing its plans to enter the space, according to the report. We have assembled a team in Canada to actively explore the risks and opportunities of entering the cannabis space in that market, where it will be federally legal by this fall, Chief Executive Officer Mark Hunter said at an investor presentation on June 6. Spokesman Colin Wheeler declined to say Friday whether it was in talks with specific cannabis companies. We've said specifically we're interested in the infused beverage space, and we do intend to enter that market, Aurora Cannabis Chief Corporate Officer Cam Batley said Friday by phone. The company declined to comment further, and Aphria could not be immediately reached for comment. The speculation comes the same week as Canada gave the final approval for recreational sales to begin on October 17th. While edibles, including beverages, won't be legal initially, companies are already jockeying for market share due to the potentially lucrative opportunity. There's been an explosion of interest in edibles, and 6 out of 10 consumers will probably choose to consume edible products, according to a June 5th report from Deloitte. Last year, Corona beer seller Constellation Brands, Inc. bought a minority stake in Canopy Growth, the nation's largest marijuana producer with a market value of $6.6 billion. Rivals such as the Green Organic Dutchman Holdings Ltd. plans to develop a product testing and manufacturing center to explore using cannabis in everything from iced teas, juices, to sport drinks. Molson would have meaningful exposure to the North American cannabis market as the number 2 beer seller in both Canada and the U.S., Cowen Analysis Vivian Azar said Friday in a note. A deal would likely resemble the structure that Constellation laid out when it took a stake in Canopy last fall, and a partner of scale will probably be the most attractive to Molson to ensure it has adequate supply in the market.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of June 18th through the 24th. Sheriff's deputy gave a courtesy ride to someone from State Line. Report of smoke around Frosty's Liquor. An officer responded, and it turned out to be a vehicle's exhaust. San Miguel Dispatch called for ambulance and an officer assist on Slick Rock to a single motor vehicle accident. Classic Lifeguard out of Moab transported patient. Report of juveniles riding ATVs on town streets. Officer responded and spoke with individual. Report of dog running at large. Animal control was notified. That concludes today's roundup. Stay tuned for continued updates.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings. June 29th, the Dove Creek branch of the Community Banks of Colorado is celebrating the 4th of July with a customer appreciation barbecue at the bank parking lot from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Stop by and meet the manager, enjoy a break ahead of the big Pick and Hoe coming up the following week. And speaking of Pick and Hoe, the schedule is being nailed down now with an overview as follows. Wednesday, July 4th, the parade starts down 491 at 9 a.m. Line up along the road from the airport, turning at the dinner bell, and then the parade ends at Weber Park. An opening ceremony is held with the kids' games immediately following. The adult games will hopefully then follow the kids, and the meat pit barbecue lunch starts at 11:30. In the afternoon, a range of pig chase, chicken chase, and rabbit chase will be held at the volleyball court area. The beer tent will be open throughout the event, along with a lineup of vendors, and in the evening, the Sit and Shotgun Band will be playing at the practice field across from Weber. Bring a chair or a blanket to enjoy that music before the fireworks show that starts at dark 30. And we'll have more on what's happening throughout the weekend with the various tournaments and competitions and music, so stay tuned. And a reminder that today is the Rock Summer Food Drive-Thru. For any Dolores County resident, for more details or to help volunteer, go online to dovecreekrocks.com. And all the happenings are updated, and the Pick and Hoe schedule event are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with our YouTube channel replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station 970-677-4119.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs at noon Monday through Thursday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. on each of those days. The weekday news shows are then replayed throughout the weekend as well.
And be sure to check us out on social media. Our Facebook page is DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook with DCTV and the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.